Alright, so today we're gonna cover Roblox Studio and pretty much anything about building that I can think of out of the top of my head right now. So, first thing you want to do to actually get to your game is click Create. Create is going to lead you to the development tab, window, site, page, whatever, for the account you're logged in with. And if I'm guessing you got a game shared to you like I did here, you'll see in your notifications that somebody has invited you to edit the game name. From there you can just go to creations, and in creations you'll click shared with me. And once you get into shared with me, you're going to see any games that have been shared with you. So in this case, it would be this one right here that was shared to me. But otherwise, you'll just be on your home page opening whatever games you have created, which you can create by clicking create experience right here. But I already have my game. That's a whole other thing. If you want to get into doing that, it should be pretty self-explanatory. If it's not, you can ask me questions. I'll link my social media down below. But otherwise, just click Open Studio and wait for your studio open. Now, okay, sorry, I had to open up my little on-screen thing so you can see on my screen. You can see when I tap my screen. You can see when I hold it with my right click, when I scroll back away, and when I move around. So right now, let's talk about controls. Controls are pretty simple. Just W for forward, S back, A left, D right. You can also move around with you by holding right click, of course, and at the top right corner, you'll see this little thing right here where you can basically pick which side to look, what you're looking at, which in this case it would be I think when you're not moving, or either way, you can just click on these arrows and it'll just adjust your camera to look where you're deciding to look, which would be the top. If you click the bottom, it'd be the front. Click down one more time, bottom, right side, and so on. So that covers that. Another control you can also have is holding shift. At the bottom, as you can see, I'm holding shift, pressing A, D, W. It slows your view down. Not your view, your movement, which would make getting into smaller spaces inside of your map, or being more delicate or being more precise with your creations easier to do. Another one is holding the middle button and then moving around. Basically just drags your entire screen but does not move where it's looking from. Of course, if you move down, you'll be dragged up here. I mean, not up here, down into the floor, where you'll be able to get closer until it just takes you in. But yeah. Another control is if you press a part, you can also click it in the Explorer. Just press F. It'll take you exactly to where that part is. And another thing is you have to make sure that the part you're clicking on does not have locked property. The locked property means you basically cannot click on it at all. As you can see, I'm attempting, but it doesn't work unless it has it off. More controls well, control settings would be what you have in here in studio and under camera. You can adjust your camera speed, pan speed, shift speed, scroll speed, scroll towards cursor position, which basically means it will zoom in wherever the cursor is looking, which would make things a lot easier for some. I keep it on because it is useful for me, but you can turn it off if you like. There's also other settings in here you can look at as well. More settings would be under rendering, where you can also edit the graphics in your map. So it's set to automatic. Not this one. Here we go. Editor quality level, which will change the quality of your map. The highest is 21. I like setting it to 21 because it's nicer rather than one where it's more rough. I'm going to change that to 21 and close. And that basically covers pretty much any basic controls you're going to be using while building your builds or whatever. But yeah, let's move on to the next step, which would be inserting parts. So parts are going to be up here in the home tab. For me, I have these 6 tabs right here. You can add more if you like, which you can just enable whatever you want to insert in here for any reasons. You can be specific with the parts you want to have ready up here. That's why they make custom tabs now, I guess. But I don't really use this, so I'm just going to close this and move back to home. But parts you can insert up here in the part little thing button. And if you click the arrow on the right side, you can insert other parts. These are the only parts you have right now. They added the corner wedge, which is one I really love because you can use it for pretty much anything. Pillars, corners, of course. It just works really well. Looks really nice too. So yeah, you have all these parts here. And the main one you're going to be using is the block part. I'm guessing the block part has many uses, of course. So while we're looking at the block part, at the block part, let's look at the properties. The properties is basically everything that your part basically is. So in this instance, it's not anchored, so you want to enable that, of course, at all times. It's not locked. You want to keep that off unless you don't want to accidentally grab it while you're selecting stuff. So let's say you have like a bunch of stuff here and you don't want to grab this and this specific part right here. If you lock it, you just don't grab it. It makes it easy. If you have like a border, empty border here, you can just have a border right there, and have it locked, and you can't click it anymore. But parts can still interact with it. So be wary of that in case you run into any issues in the future where you're wondering why you can't move or place parts where you want them to be, where you drag them to. Like if they're in the air or stuck or just static and won't move, that's most likely why, because there's a invisible locked part in the way. But yeah, so other properties you have, of course, brick color. There's a lot of brick colors. You can also adjust it manually with the X thing here. You can just move that around. Let's say you want to make it a blue, a light blue, or lapis as it's called. You can also make it cast shadows. You can edit the part here, the part size, if you want to make it like that. And while we're on the subject of size, let's talk about the X, Y, Z axis. So when you're editing the size of stuff, you're going to have the X, Y, and Z, which X would be how wide it is, Y would be how tall it is, and Z would be how long it is. You can change that as you wish. I'll change it here. You can just change it manually. So I'm going to change it back. But if you don't want it like that, you can, another control is Control Z, which will render the part back where it was. Pretty sure another one is Control Shift Z, which will undo your undo, or redo what you did. And you can only do this so many times. So make sure when you are editing your part, you are very sure of what you are doing, because at some point you will not be able to undo or redo, as it did right there. I just got stopped from redoing. I mean, not redoing, undoing. Another property is the, let's see, can collide and can touch. This doesn't really apply to you, but if you have a scripter and he doesn't want the script to fire when a player touches it, disabled can touch, but they will still be able to touch the part. They're not gonna exactly interact with it, but they can stand on it, walk around on it, just not fire any scripts if there's any scripts on it. If you want the player to not be able to touch the part and just completely walk through it, turn off can collide and keep can touch on if you want them to fire the script. This is really useful when you have a fire-based game, like a horror game, where you can have like a invisible wall right here where they can just walk through, and it'll fire a jump scare, but they're not going to exactly touch the part. Of course, we also have anchored. I'll turn that back on. Massless. This is more. I don't think this really none of this stuff really matters. Unless it does in the future, then I will go over that. But more stuff you have, of course, reflectancy, which basically is how much a part reflects the light. Transparency, how transparent the part is. Material variant, that's more custom stuff. And then the materials, of course, really useful stuff. You can edit the name of the part here too. Change that. Pivots, pretty sure this deals with the location of the center of the part. So if you ever have issues with that and wonder why your part is over here when it's actually over here, that's most likely the issue. So that would make like the heart of the part, and you can't even interact with it, so there's no reason to really have to deal with any of that. You can just keep it default. Or actually, it might be a bit useful if you have a unionized part where, let's say you have something like this. Where this part right here, you can negate this part right here and then select the parts you want to cut with the negated part, union it, and I'll create this. And by default, it should work. You should have it on the center, but if you don't, and you want to the stairs to actually like be able to be grabbed from here, when you're grabbing it from the center, you can just change that, which would be -2, 2. No, yeah, that's right. But yeah, here, you just grab it from here, so you don't have to go up to the part and actually grab it from here or from one of these points. Yeah, you can just grab it from here. But yeah, of course, that introduces you to these union parts. This is going to be the most useful thing you're going to have out of everything here, as it will basically allow you to do stuff that you can do in Blender but more easily. It makes this a lot easier, although more tedious, since you'll have to be very meticulous with how you deal with your parts. And by that I mean, like, let's say you want your stairs to be more curved here. That you can do, although you'll have to do something like this. Or actually, while we're here, let me teach you a few other controls and how I'm doing all this. So Control D duplicates parts. That's another control. Control C copies a part, so you can just paste it anywhere instead of it duplicating on the part itself. If you hold Control while dragging one of these XYZ markers here, it'll do the same for the opposite side. If you hold Control, it'll increase the size. Hold Control Alt and it will increase the size on all sides. Now, if you're wondering what these little markers are right here, they're points. They basically tell you you're moving. Actually, I don't even. Oh, they tell you. Is that correct? Let me check. Yeah, where you're touching the part. So in this marker right here, you're touching this side of the part with this side. Same with this. Same with here. Although there's nothing over here, of course, because there's nothing to touch. And the reason it detects a touch here, I'm going to have to assume it's because of this part right here. If not, then I actually don't even know why it detects that. But yeah, that's that. And these dots right here basically tell you where you're grabbing the part. You want to actually click on the part before you try to click any of these dots, or else you're gonna not end up grabbing the part you want. Let's see. Control R just rotates it. Pretty sure that's counterclockwise. No, clockwise. Whoops. Yeah, if I did this clockwise, you can group that with Control G and ungroup it with Control U or Control Z. And if something like this happens where a part suddenly seems to be out of place, like here it's not in the single stud, just hold it and it'll drag it back into place. But that's only if it's even, which here doesn't seem to be even, as I probably moved it over here. I was probably moving it while holding one of these buttons. Probably shift. Shift makes things more precise. It tells you where you're grabbing it exactly, or the exact number of how big the part is now. You can also see controls down in the bottom right corner, right here. You can just click actually H to see hotkeys, or just see that, I guess. But yeah, it just basically tells you what I'm telling you. More in a more professional manner. Now snapping, not exactly sure. I'm guessing that means if you see something like this, or not, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm not pretty sure myself here, but I'll figure it out and I'll give you guys an answer in the future. So yeah, you got all those to control your parts. And now let's go into what I was trying to say here. Control R. Control T rotates it like on its side. And Control R rotates. Control T turns it on its side. I know there's another word for that, but I'm not bothered to care right now. So yeah, what you can do is, if you want your corners to be more corner-y, what you can do is get a cylinder, get a part, make sure it is uniform with each other. Where's my music? And so, yeah, go ahead and do that. Oops, I think I messed that part up. There we go. Yeah, sometimes it does act a little weird, where the parts just randomly, or seemingly randomly, to me, just go out of place and change sizes out of nowhere, which I'm like. But yeah, here you have this corner edge here, which you can then just unionize. And while you could use this here, I wouldn't exactly recommend that. To keep things a little more simple and more in together, you can unionize this right here. Go ahead and turn it, and it will follow the exact same, let's say, rules for how you change this. It's not going to act any special. It's just going to do that. It's not going to act like a mesh, where meshes, they increase size on all sides, like so. But yeah, so I'm going to do is shrink this a little. And here you can drag this over here. And I actually will have to cut this branch off right here. you can just do with any part. We'll just use this. Right click, enter part. Yeah, that exists too. Well, you could do that. I'm just gonna do this. And then just keep it all together. Could have that right there. Increase the size of all this. Take that. Control L will change the direction you move stuff. So you can control it from XYZ worldwide, or change it to the part specific, which I'm gonna do that. So yeah. And what I was exactly gonna do here is I was gonna negate this and then cut this part off here, but I completely forgot that I need another part, and that just seemed unreasonable. Or if you want an example of how, what I was gonna do this. I was just gonna negate this, union, negate that, and then I was gonna go across all these parts. Select the part, union, and then that just cut that off instead of having to add them all in there. But that seemed tedious. But if it's more specific to your liking, you can do that as well. And as I discussed in another video, also you can just click the 4 keys to switch between select, move, scale, and rotate. There's also transform, which is just, of course, transforming on the plane, which the plane is going to be centered around where exactly you started from. But we don't need that right now. So yeah. You can just select all, union that, and now you have a staircase. Now the reason why it won't change is because you actually have to use part color. Now the problem with this is it's gonna cause a few issues later down on the road if you want to, change the color of something on, let's say, this part right here. Like you want to add gold trimming. That's possible, but you're gonna have to work around that. And the way you will work around that is by duplicating this part and then going up here, turning off the stud snap, and then holding control to basically squeeze down this. Then you're gonna click move or 2, turn off the actually you don't even really need to turn this off. I was gonna say to rotate it more cleanly, but you don't need to really rotate this. You just need to move it, and with this already off basically means there's nothing exactly holding you in place. Now the reason it snaps on is because of course you're snapping. To turn it off, just click shift and you can just control it freely now. And boom, you got that. You add red. Now you have stairs with red carpet. And these stairs can also you can change that to carpet. And yeah, nice set of stairs. And you won't have the bugging out of parts inside of each other or whatnot. You don't have to deal with any of that. Now the other problem with this is you also have sometimes it won't really exactly be exact. You can just separate this, drag this down, and it will move up here. You can completely ignore that by also just separating again, pulling this down, and then just Jesus Christ. I'll just hold Alt. There's a key to do this. If not, just hold Control and just keep clicking until it selects the part you want to select. Of course, hold Control, or else it's just gonna select the next part. And then just union that. Pretty sure that's selected. No. I can just do that. Union. Use part color. I just realized you're gonna have to go and select everything else. Make sure you got everything selected. You got a union. Use part. Make it red. And carve it once more, and now you won't have that little peak down there. The same with the rest of this. And that's unionizing. That's really the most important part of this entire thing, since it's gonna make it's gonna make building a lot easier. And you want to deal with actually learning Blender. While it will be really useful to learn Blender, you don't really have to with unionizing. Jesus Christ, there we go. This is just that because I unionized the two negated parts together. Well, not together in the same place. Just do that. Or scale it. That looks nice. Of course, it's just a small example of what you can do. Of course, there's a lot of other things. You can unionize all these other parts here to create more intricate buildings. It's really important to practice, do custom builds, build your portfolio, and really just it's all practice. I've also got special materials like I make this blue so it makes sense, like glass, which really won't work as glass. It's just gonna look like a plane until you make it transparent. Then it really turns into glass. And if you turn the transparency more down, it just completely gets rid of shadows altogether without needing to turn off cast shadow. There's also force field, which is going to be, of course, a force field. which is really good for more futuristic type builds, or of course having a force field. Then you've also got neon, which is really bright. Once you change it up to a darker color, really works like a kill brick. And yeah, you can also edit stuff up here. You can change the color, group ungroup up here, add into a folder. Which you can do by just clicking something by accident. But I don't know, just click the dot folder, drag stuff in there. And this folder isn't like a group. You're not going to be able to just keep everything all together unless you click the folder in the Explorer and move it around rather than it being grouped. You can just click on it and move it around. Folder once again. So yeah, work on organization. All this stuff up here. You've got effects. Sparkles, make sparkles. And yeah, let's move on to the next part, which is just going to be plugins. Now, plugins are more scarce now than they were ever because they actually cost money. Well, not all of them, but most of them cost money. Some, like Moon Animator and Camera, yeah, I'm pretty sure. What's this one? Archimedes now costs money, but they are really useful if you want to get into animating for whatever reason. But Moon Animator also has easy welds and character insertion, which makes things a whole lot easier. As you have it all in one instead of having it separated like wheeled editor here and load character here. These are free. Yeah, beat tools, light toggle to toggle a light on you. That's free as well. Pretty sure these are free, installed automatically into your Roblox Studio. You got tool grip editor. Basically, if you got a tool, which let's just insert something. Actually, we have to make it first. So just try to follow along with while I make this. Just gonna be a regular old hammer. And yeah, you got a hammer right here. You can unionize it. And then grab another part. Make sure you delete these two so they're not in the way. And then this is important if you ever make tools. You want to have a handle exactly. The handle can be any size, but preferably a 2x2, because it's the size of your hand. Roblox avatar, or the default R6 avatar. You can just call that handle. Drag this in here. Take that all out. Group it. Call it. Actually, not group it, since you do have your tool right there. It's a tool you can edit, of course. As you can see, make that blue so you can see that better. Of course, pan your camera around to see. It's really useful for tools. We don't need that right now. But constraints are there. Constraints are to keep stuff together. Same with weld. Well, actually, weld actually keeps the parts together. Constraint just if you have like a rope, keep things all together, but in a rope form, which I'm not gonna do right now because I myself don't really even know too much about that. But then you've also got surfaces converter here. If you want to have studs as a surface. Which won't really work on this because it's got a material on it already. You've also got a GUI editor here, which is also gonna cost money, I believe. Can't remember. But this is for GUIs. Any constraints, the UI, scale text, and got lighting over here. Change the lighting, clock time. Important one is gonna be in. I can't remember if it's in. It's got to be in lighting. Pretty sure it's lighting style. Yeah, lighting style. Which is going to make it either soft or realistic. I prefer realistic. Of course, everybody has their own preference. You've got fog in here as well, pretty sure. If not here, it's going to be under any of these. Which I can't remember if they're inserted in here. But yeah, this basically changes everything about the lighting. If you want to make it darker, if you want to make it brighter, foggier. You can edit that with scripting as well. You've also got starter player. Basically the starter players, camera, HP, display, username, camera mode, walk speed, default, everything. But yeah, let me actually make sure if this is all anchored first. If I play test up here in the top left corner. Change my settings. Yeah. Works perfect. And the reason I'll actually recommend buying the camera settings is because it allows a lot of camera settings. Specifically, rotation sensitivity. When you rotate, it goes really fast by default, and I don't really like that, so I just keep that to minimum. And yeah, that's gonna basically sum everything up. You've also got toolbox, actually. Insert tools, assets. Now, if you're gonna ever insert an asset into the game, or into your game, actually, you want to be really, really absolute careful with this stuff. You want to look into all these parts. Take your time. Take a search for virus, random gibberish, anything to make sure your assets are clean and you don't have to deal with your game being stolen, basically, or messed up. You got all that stuff there. Assets are gonna actually, I don't think this will really matter. Okay, not necessarily. There is something else though that would kind of matter, which if I can find it. So I don't think it's assets. Yeah, this just shows all the assets. Or actually, places and experience might be at. Yeah, add new place. Yeah, this will allow you to have another game inside of your game. If you want to have like a player teleport to like a event or whatever, there's also that. Geometric. Yep. All right. You've also got stuff like this. See, here it passes right through it, or you can snap the part into place. We can also turn on collisions inside of geometric here, which basically means it's not going to allow the part to go through. It's more realistic. It's going to allow your game to not have many collisions or have overlaying parts. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's going to cover most of what you'll really need while you're building a game. In the future, I do plan on giving example builds of stuff that a player would be making, just to showcase what exactly you can really do with all these controls and features that Roblox provides. And yeah. If you've got any questions, feel free to comment. If you have my socials, of course, you can just message me. And that'll pretty much summarize this entire video. I thank you for the viewer. I thank you, the viewer, for watching and staying. And hopefully you've learned something new today. I'll cover more up in the future as I get questions and I myself relearn everything, because this is my first video coming back after about a year of not developing. So, I hope you guys can excuse me. But yeah, thank you all. Have a nice one.